What's going on, guys? It's Everett with Redux Movement. I hope you're doing really well. In this video, we're going to cover my favorite lower body warm-up. So if you do this warm-up consistently, it'll actually improve the quality of each individual workout. You stack more good workouts over a longer period of time, you'll be more fit, stronger, all that good stuff. So I love this warm-up. It's actually helped me improve, again, my squatting, my deadlifting, opposed to other warm-ups or especially no warm-up at all, which I know some of you skip. So one quick point about warming up. You don't want to do a lot of stretching, foam rolling, myofascial release. That's expanding into a new range of motion. And if you're doing that quickly, you're most likely just tricking your body. It's called short-term potentiation. You don't want to trick your body to get more flexibility and then go try to work out and lift heavy weights, do something really dynamic or a lot of volume. That could be potentially really dangerous for you in that workout and actually hamper your progress and your fitness overall, decrease your workouts. So if you want to increase your range of motion, your flexibility, your mobility, treat it like training. You either, if you're an athlete, you have an off season, or if you're a regular person, do it on your off days, things like that. That's why I have a hip mobility training course, because it is just that, it is training. You need to take it seriously and there needs to be a program. So check that out on my website. But for now, let's get to the actual warm-up. So for the majority of this warm-up, we're going to be using these little exercise bands. You can get them off Amazon for $5 to $10. Most gyms do have them. So here I'm doing a lateral walk. Pretty common move, great for hip abduction and external rotation. A lot of people do this wrong though. So we'll go over the right way to do this because it's subtle but very important. So to start out, you can see I'm in a quarter squat. So I'd recommend setting up a little bit wider than a normal squat stance. Baby squat, quarter squat, keep the knees in line with the toes. And what I'm showing you right there with my hands is I'm not reaching out with my left leg. I'm actually kind of lifting my left leg and then pushing with my right leg. So if I'm going to the left, I'm pushing with my right leg. If I'm going to the right, I'm pushing with my left leg. A lot of people do the opposite, they reach. And there is going to be a little bit of a reach, but you don't want to do too much. And I'll show you why here in a couple seconds. But you can see I'm very level. I'm not going way up and down the air like I'm finishing or starting a squat. My toes are in line with my knees, and I'm not letting that band snap my knees together. I'm resisting that band the entire time and using my abducting muscles. So in this position, you can see my toes are all over the place. I got like duck feet. I'm not using my glutes to stabilize and control what my legs are doing. That's not worth much in a warm-up. So looks silly. And again, it's also just not warming up my hip muscles for squatting or deadlifting or any other stuff you're going to be doing at the gym. This is what I was talking about earlier. You can see how I'm like reaching with my leg in the direction I'm moving. That's actually going to overuse some muscles like your TFL, which is pretty tight from sitting all day long. So again, we don't want to reach, we want to push. And here you can see my knees are kind of snapping together. I'm losing that tension on the band. And in this position, I've got way too wide of a stance. My knees are collapsed in, my toes are pointing in, and I've really got not much of a squat going on. This is not using my external rotators or my abductors. The next position we'll work on are glute bridges. So I like to do static and reps as well. So what I'm showing you there is to keep a nice tight ab position, like you're doing a plank, and then to push your knees into the band abduction. So from here, like I said, 30-second hold, 20-second hold. You don't want to overextend your low back. That's pretty common when you're trying to squeeze your glutes. So keep a nice even shoulder to hip to knee angle. And you can see my feet are way far out here. You're probably going to get more of a hamstring contraction there. And if you have your feet too close, some people tend to need to arch their low back to get a glute contraction. So have those feet about 6 to 8 inches away from the hips. So here you can see I've got my right toes just really spun out. Pay attention to that type of stuff. Toes nice and forward. And as you send those knees away from each other, people tend to roll onto the sides of their ankles. So tight abs, good glute contraction, press into the band, and here I'm just doing reps up and down. So I'm also thinking about using my hip flexors right there to pull myself into hip flexion or to pull my glutes to the ground. So I'm squeezing my glutes to go up and then squeezing my hip flexors to go back down. So again, 2 sets of 10, 2 sets of 12, depending on what type of strength band you're using here, but keep those knees out the entire time. So our third warm-up move is something a lot of people forget about or don't even know they need to train, and that's hip flexion. So you sit all day, most people talk about having tight hip flexor muscles and they need to stretch more. Tight muscles are typically weak muscles. So here we've got the band on the top and the bottom of the feet. We're pulling up into a 90-degree bend in the knee, a 90-degree bend in the hip, or maybe a little further. And you can do these for static sets, maybe like one set of 30-second hold per side, or reps, say like a 2x10, or a mix of both. So you want really nice tight abs. Don't let your foot drop to the ground. Again, kind of kick up in the air, keep a 90-degree bend. You're gonna feel that at the bottom of the quad right near the knee. You can also make this harder by lifting that straight leg. That's gonna force you to use your glute and your hamstring to stabilize that straight leg. You wanna keep your knee in line with your ankle, so not inside the body or outside the body. All right, so you shouldn't be able to see your foot because the knee is blocking it. Tight, tight, tight. Again, hold as long as you're able. The difference between going, say, 90 degrees into that flexion and 95 is huge. So do a little test, see what you can handle and where your weaknesses are, especially left to right. So that's the third move, banded hip flexion, static or reps. Our fourth warm-up move isn't really a move and it's really simple, standing on one leg. So this requires a lot of stability. If you find you're really good at this, close your eyes, it'll make it much harder. So we're focusing on a nice active open hip, not slouching to one side. Most people have a little bit of a hip lean or hip twist / slouch. So push that hip into the ground, stack the hip on the knee on the ankle, good arch, active foot, and try to spread those toes out for a good toe box, good stability. Side to side, there might be major differences. Again, try to hold that leg up, actively squeeze the glute, squeeze the side glute muscles, and stay nice and even. Again, keep it simple, 30 seconds per side. Up next, we have banded clamshells. So we're gonna get a nice bend in the hip and the knee. You need to make sure you have stacked hips here. So I almost think about arching my low back a little bit to make sure one hip isn't forward in front of the other. A lot of people sleep on their sides and they've got, the top leg thrown over the body. So you wanna make sure you're not doing something similar to that. The feet are staying together and we're really isolating the side glute muscles to externally rotate and open up the knees. You might feel major differences from one side to the other. Go easy at first and then, 4 or 5 reps into it, start squeezing more and more and really trying to open up those knees without compensating this good position. So same stuff, 2 sets, 3 sets, 8, 10, 12 reps, something like that. Up next, we'll move on to a little bit of balance and ankle work. So these are called high heel squats or toe squats. What we'll do is we'll stand up, get up on the toes, nice even pressure in the ball of the foot between the big toe and the little toe, squat down, drop to the heels, stretching the ankle and the calf muscles, go back up to your toes and then squat back up. So think toes, squat, heels, toes, stand up. Same stuff, 1 to 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Now, the point again is to stretch the ankle and the calf muscles. So I'll show you what you don't want to do. It's subtle. But if you were to squat straight down and then just shift all of your weight backwards, that's not really increasing the range of motion at your ankle. That's just shifting your weight. So you want to think about freezing from your knees up and then actually stretching the calf muscles down. Don't just sit back or lean back. So subtle difference, but it makes a huge impact on actually warming up your calf muscles and your ankles. And of course, being a lower body warm up, we should throw squats in. So we're using the bands. I like to put them right below my knees. If you go above the knees, some people, they tend to roll up the thighs and it messes up your warm up. So right below the knees is usually best. Most people know how to squat too at this point. But what people tend to mess up here is their big toe contact, because as they open up their knees using their glute muscles, they tend to roll on the sides of the foot. So you want even pressure in your heel, your little toe, and your big toe. So push that big toe into the ground as you open up the knees and push your hips back and down. So same thing as we've been doing, 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets, 8 to 15 reps, depending on how strong you are, what you're doing that day, and what strength band you're using. Moving on to lunges. So there's lots of different lunge variations, and you can use different variations depending on what you're doing for that lower body day. If you're squatting, I love reverse lunging. Reason being is it emulates a squat pretty well. It's like a single leg squat, and it really loads up the quads nicely, especially right around the kneecap. So you want to focus on going directly down. You should feel this a bit in your glute. Keep the knee right over the heel, put pressure right midfoot and in the heel. Same stuff, 2 to 3 sets, probably 5 to 8 reps per side. Our second to last move will be a static hold, and it's pretty isolated on the hamstring. So you need to go light here at first. Some people tend to cramp. So we're in a kneeling 90-degree position. I just showed you I want my ribs down, my glute squeezed, so my hip is open. And all I'm doing is curling my hamstring to lift my heel towards my glute. Looks super easy, but again, it gets pretty rough. What you don't want to do is start to arch your back and cheat or compensate. If you can barely get your toes off the ground, that's all right. And again, don't go a full 100% contraction. Kind of ramp up into it. Squeeze your hamstring 10%, 20%, 30%. This is a great option for warming up the hamstring and the glute, especially if you don't have like a hamstring curl machine and you're not strong enough to do like GHDs or something that takes a little more strength and coordination. So I would do maybe 3 sets of 10-second holds per side. You can knock out one side, then go the other, or alternate. But again, check your position and ramp up into it slowly. Our final warm-up position is for the adductors. So you can think about the adductors as your groin muscles. So most people have a lack of flexibility at the groin muscles, but also really weak adductors as well. So these are adduction muscles and internal rotation. So they're the opposite of what we did in the very first lateral walks. So you need to go easy with these. There's a lot of varieties of movements you can do. We're doing adductor bridges. So I just got a storage bin here, but you can use the bench at a gym. And I've got a straight top leg. You can actually bend that top leg so the knee, the shin, and the ankle are on the bench. It makes it easier. So pretty simple. You want to focus on squeezing that glute and keeping that hip open and have the quad forward. I'm showing you right here, my quad is now facing up towards the ceiling. I've got hip rotation going on. Squeeze that glute, push the foot into the bench, and keep everything forward. Don't drop the hips, and also don't have a hip bend or hip crease. Once again, squeeze the glute, lift the hips, and have the hip, knee, and foot perfectly forward. All right, so same thing, 1, 2, 3 sets, 10, 20, 30-second holds. Go very easy here. Be humble and work up into longer time periods. So there you go. That's the lower body warm-up I've been using for a little over a year now. I've continued to refine it. I have a lot of individual clients using it. They love it. Obviously, you can adjust anything you want to based on what type of movement you're doing for the day. Maybe you're a little more tired, a little tighter, so you need to spend some extra time actually warming up or not. So if you like this video, please comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. It really helps the channel out and helps other people who aren't warming up or aren't warming up right find this video, and it helps them out too. So if you want to support the channel, I have my hip mobility course on my website, 16 videos long, over 2.5 hours of content. It's only 29 bucks. So if you want to improve your hips and help the channel grow, help me buy new equipment, more workout gear to show you guys how to use it properly, different types of workouts, check it out on the website, reduxmvmt.com. Until then, thanks for watching and have a great one.